well, one of the things I guess people are kind of excited but also nervous about is the idea of the kind of the bridge film between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. How are you kind of approaching that?
I don't know yet. I mean, seriously, I would love to have all the answers. We think we know how to approach it, and I think it's what I can say is I'll only do it if it works. If it feels like it's gonna work on paper. You know, I don't think any of us is gonna do it just to do it. There's no contractual or there's no outside pressure, or at least no outside pressure that we care for. Really, we are coming to the idea of the second film with glee, and with the desire to utilize something that expands rather than bridges. You know, if you think of Lord of the Rings like a symphony, you know, then the Hobbit films, or film, if it's decided to be a film in two parts or whatever we come to, the Hobbit is an overture, and it's a grand way of not repeating the colors of the rest of the symphony, but expanding it. I believe it's going to expand that universe. We have similar traits in some of what we do, Peter and I, but we have differences too. And I think that the creatures are going to have a slightly different slant. Some of them will be redesigned, like the wargs will be redesigned. The goblin race can be expanded, and so on and so forth. I think that it's a great canvas.
Absolutely. And again, I as I say, I feel a film that really...
And the spiders. They will be very different spiders.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Really?
Because you have Shelob, which is fantastic, but the fact that in The Hobbit the animals talk, or at least can be understood, which I think is a difference. I think talking animals or somebody understanding them is a different question. You can have talking animals is Babe in a way, and someone understanding animals is Princess Mononoke, which tonally is different.
Well, I think this is something that I guess the makers of Narnia seem to struggle with for Prince Caspian, which is that at the start of the book, the animals don't talk because they've, it's 1500 years later or whatever, but they've set up this mythology, this idea in the first film that the animals do talk, and they assume that they have to play to that audience of people who haven't read the book. So I'd imagine there are going to be Lord of the Rings fans, fans of the films.
There will be that will. When Tolkien wrote the book, he was not making a prequel. He was not writing it with the intention of having a strict follow-up. And if there are gaps in the logic of the use of or the powers of the ring between the first film and the trilogy, there will be the same gaps that Tolkien had writing the book. We'll try to deal with it, but I'm not going to betray the spirit of the book in order to fit the cinematic incarnation, because The Hobbit is a particular point of view. It's a story that is told in a different way than the encompassing trilogy. And I admire, and I have more than anything, mental or intellectual admiration. I have a emotional attachment to the book. So that's what I'm trying to be faithful to. It's the same thing that when I attempt to adapt Tarzan, or at some point when I was talking about adapting John Carter of Mars, you try to do justice to the emotion that you felt as a kid reading those books. When I read the Tarzan books and I was a very young kid, they may not be faithful to the filmic Tarzans, but it will be the book I remember. And that's the difficult thing. For everybody that read a book, there is a different movie in their heads. So I have to, unfortunately for millions of people, I'm going to have to be telling my movie. It'll coincide with a few of them or a lot of them, but it has to come from a genuine place of empathy.